Yo, what's up, guys? Schizomanic here. So, I know chapter 300, no, 834 just came out for One Piece, and I'm not doing a chapter review, but there are a few things about this chapter that has sparked some discussion in my mind. Two things specifically that I wanted to talk about and put into a video for you. So, I guess the first thing is this. We know from this chapter that it's confirmed that pudding is not bad, because of the fact that she pretty much, we find out the reason why she was held up, and I think this was already kind of proven, and it kind of goes into my other point that the daughters are not loyal to the mothers. Well, not 100%. A good hint of that was with Praline, Aladdin's wife, where she already openly admitted, she was like, well, I'll go wherever you go, honey, meaning she doesn't give a damn. Like, she doesn't even give a fuck at all about her mother. She rather just, as long as she's with a husband, I don't think she really cares. And I think that's the whole gimmick here, that the daughters aren't 100% loyal to the mothers. So Pudding didn't lie, because she even admits, she confirms the story she told before about how she only met Sanji once, but there's no Straw Hats there, so it's kind of obvious that when she said it then in the context of talking to like the girls helping her pick out an outfit, that she wasn't trying to lie. That is legit, that she legit met Sanji once, and that actually was probably legit that her and Sanji did talk, which is probably the reason why, if you looked at the Viz translation of the earlier chapters, I think the manga screen translation made it seem like he was talking about putting in a negative light, but the Viz translation just says, you're not going to sell me on this shit again, on marrying this girl, because as he said, he's devoted to his crew. But the fact that the daughters aren't loyal to the mother also serves a purpose for the whole Capone and Peckham scene, which for me is probably the most interesting part of this chapter, because Peckham's line, now granted this could change in the Viz translation, and I wouldn't be surprised if it did, but based on the manga string translation, it's essentially, why would Peckham say, if you underestimate Big Mom, you will regret it? To me screams, you probably plan at some point to turn the tables on Big Mom, meaning you're using your position in Big Mom's forces as an excuse to get what you want. Now, what do you want? We don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me, because also the fact that he goes, I gave you a way out. Giving you a way out, what was the way out? Killing him wasn't, because I don't think he intentionally meant not to kill him. I don't think he's referring to Zoe. I think he just gave Peckham's a proposition, and Peckham's rejected the proposition because obviously it was hurting Big Mom, and he's still loyal to Big Mom, and that's why he got shot and killed. And it wasn't like Big Mom cared about him to that degree anyway. So Capone is probably at some point planning some type of betrayal. I'm almost 100% certain of that. He'll probably even use the Straw Hats in this wedding as an excuse to pull off whatever plan he has. And I'm not worried about his wife or his son giving a fuck, because, well, as we've seen before, the women of Big Mom's family aren't inherently loyal. I mean, they're sitting there having a conversation about leaving Big Mom's crew. Praline is there and they're just kind of like, I don't care. So they're all individuals, and they all don't mind fucking over their mother in some aspects. So I thought that was very interesting. That I don't know what Big Mom. We also know how long he's probably been in the service of Big Mom, because Capone's son looks like he's at least. He's not super old. His son is obviously not like an embryo, but definitely is old-ish. I would say he's at least been a part of Big Mom's crew probably right before the time skip happened. When he first got to the New World, and the last time we saw him is when his ship got slammed into that rock, if I remember right, like on some Edo Tensei shit. I would say that he's probably been a part of Big Mom's crew around the time the time skip happened, meaning he's been in Big Mom's service for about 2 years now. Because you don't just let anybody go with Peckham's and Tamago, who seem to be at least up there in terms of tiers. We also get some more hints of Pedro's history with, I honestly feel like Pedro and Brooke being together seems kind of similar, because it seems like Pedro's little adventure on Whole Cake Island seems kind of similar to Brooke's adventure on Thriller Bark, where he kind of just showed up on the island, caused a whole bunch of bullshit, and then ran away. That's exactly what it feels like. It feels like Pedro and Brooke. It wouldn't surprise me if Pedro's situation was somewhat similar to that. Not 100%, obviously, because of the way Thriller Bark was structured, but it literally seemed, because Tamago mentions how it's like, oh yeah, that's Pedro. So that means you and Pedro have run into each other, and it seems like you both came out of that shit pretty unscathed, or at least no one died. So my assumption is he probably did exactly what Brooke did in Thriller Bark. He had a whole bunch of fucking run-ins, and then may have gotten his ass beaten and ran off, because it's obvious he doesn't want people to know he's here. Although I do find it interesting that Peckham's doesn't recognize him. Tamago recognized him just based off a damn sketch, whereas Peckham's didn't say shit. Peckham's didn't say shit about him being on there. But it seems like him and Peckham's have a long history, so I'm curious to see Pedro's backstory. Probably with this island, probably I would bank has a pretty good amount of parallels with Brooks, Brennan, and Thriller Bark, and also probably has some interesting backstory on Whole Cake Island, however many years ago that was. I don't remember if they even said how many years ago. The part at the end with Luffy really doesn't serve any more purpose than what Oda has to do for all of his arcs involving Luffy, where Luffy can't get too involved. I'm not really surprised this arc is getting dragged out, because let's be real here, you can't have a wedding-based arc and not have the Straw Hats crash the wedding. I already know that's what's going to happen. I knew Sanji was going to get wrapped into being a part of the wedding in some shape or form, so I wasn't fucking surprised that it's like, oh yeah, we had to find a really arbitrary way to make sure Sanji wouldn't run. Well, that was my biggest issue with the whole Sanji situation. Is more so, I don't understand why the fuck he even came. And some of you would say, oh, well, it's because he wanted to protect his friends. Please, all you need to do is get your fucking... The Minks were out there and had the advantage. All you needed to do is get them outside and scream, and the Minks would have been all over on his ass, which was already about to happen by the end of that. So I don't think it was simply just to save his friends. I feel like Sanji, there's something else Sanji wants to do, and I don't know what it is, because I don't know why he thought coming to Big Mom's house, and I don't even know what he planned to do, if it was just to ask nicely or just be like, I'm not doing this. I don't see the point of all that. I mean, he was in a fine position, unless he was just doing it for the sake of the friends at Baratier, which would make a little bit more sense. I just feel like there's more for Sanji to do. We don't know enough about his backstory before he got taken. We know the general idea of his backstory, and it's like I said in the other one, his mother is probably very key to not only the history of the North Blue, but probably very key to Sanji as a character, which is why I'm looking very forward to meeting her. I'm pretty sure I would bank her death is probably her death, or her lack of being around is probably the key thing, because he denies all of his family members. So I'm very interested to seeing the story of Sanji and how that goes. There's not too much else to talk about. It was just, those are the things that kind of stuck out to me. That Capone is probably obviously going to portray. Is going to, and he'll probably do it with this arc actually, or pretty soon, try to portray Big Mom. I'm actually banking that this might be very similar to Thriller Bark, where Caesar ends up creating like a bullshit variation of this formula. Big Mom is the only one who gets to use it. It's not like completed. It's an incomplete form of it. So it's essentially another giant oars fight, except with a crazed woman who has some devil fruit ability. We don't know because I mean, it's a little bit. Everything has been kind of coming together to see where shit's about to go. Because we're gonna slow down probably pretty soon with like flashback chapters, and it also depends on how long they want Luffy to be out of the loop. He's doing. I mean, Oda's been kind of getting better about how he gets Luffy out of the way of the main plot, but he's still not great at it. Also, the only way I can see this working is them using Nami as a hostage and having them all fall in line. But where would you put them? This will also probably be a way for them to show off Big Mom's power, like taking them directly to her, so she knows they're on there, and she also wants to use them as a sacrifice. I remember that. I don't understand what she's sacrificing them for. Is that her dream is to have this one big family? So why would you need to sacrifice them? Unless there's like this evil truth that like she's kind of doing what Moria did, and is like killing people, then using her devil fruit ability to bring them back. The difference is that instead of using shadows, her ability is just called Life Retreat. It just doesn't seem to be an aging ability, at least not in the traditional sense. We know she can take away lives. She might just wipe years off of some things and put it into another. I don't know. There's a lot of technical things I don't know yet, so I'm just kind of spitballing ideas. But I definitely am pretty sure about a few things. Capone's going to try to betray Big Mom some point in the near future. Pedro's history with Thriller I'm actually getting a lot of Thriller Bark parallels. I don't know what the fuck is happening, and maybe that's just me. But leave your comments and thoughts in the comment section below, and I will check that shit out because I'm very interested. This arc has gotten very interesting to me, and I'm looking forward to seeing more. So that's all I have for me. This has been Schizomanic. The insanity is here. I need to come up with a fucking tagline. We'll keep working on that. Peace out.